I'm State Senator Pat Vance, representing Cumberland and Northern York counties. Today we're in Shippensburg at the Shippensburg Pump Company, where they produce, design, develop, and actually market pumps to lots of places in the world. So joining me is the CEO, Dwayne Collier. Dwayne, you're going to have to tell me all about these pumps.
Well, we'd be happy to do that, Senator, and we want to welcome you to Shippensburg and to Shippensburg Pump Company.
Okay, lead the way. We'll just follow you. Now, I put the glasses on, right?
Yep, when you come through the door, put the glasses on.
Okay. Now, how large is this? This is very large, actually.
Our assembly area is 26,000 square feet.
Look at me.
And we basically are a custom job shop. We manufacture most of our products specifically for customers that when we build it, it's sold.
So these are for commercial places?
Mostly commercial and industrial accounts. We do a lot of work with colleges, universities, hospitals. Yes.
Okay, now what would you do for a hospital?
A lot of the hospital work that we deal with is space heating, as well as we do some vacuum systems for clinical vacuum work, but primarily it's for heating. We also do some work that's involved with sterilization.
What work do you do as a former nurse? I'm always interested. Tell me what you do with sterilization.
Well, with sterilization, there's clean steam that's generated using the sterilizers, and our pumps are used with the clean steam generators. So that's how we would tie into the sterilization.
Okay. Now tell me what this large piece is behind me. And again, remember, I don't know a whole lot about this. You have to educate me.
This is a condensate vacuum system that is going to be going into a large commercial building. A lot of these are used in places like New York City. The bottom tank is where the water comes back. As the steam condenses, it turns to water and comes back as condensate, and it's collected here. The top chamber is actually the vacuum producer, where we take water and it's pumped through a nozzle and venturi arrangement that creates a vacuum. What that does is it helps to pull the steam through the system and return the condensate, which is an efficient way to heat a building and hopefully level out the cold spots.
Well, tell me why a tank like this wouldn't rust, or what do you do to prevent it from rusting?
Well, the boiler water is actually chemically treated and deaerated so that most of the non-condensable gases are removed from the water, which is where your rust starts. Okay. The oxygen that's dissolved in the water is really what causes the rust.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
So once we have the water cleaned up, we don't have to deal with the rusting issue as much. We do have to deal with carbonic acid, though, in the return lines. So that's, again, a chemical treatment process that takes care of that.
What's he doing with this big lift, for want of a better word?
Our workforce, because we handle a lot of heavy parts, most of the assembly areas have jib cranes.
And that's a jib crane?
That's a jib crane. That's a one-ton jib crane. And it's used to lift things to save our backs and to help with the assembly process.
Now, exactly what is he doing right now?
All right, right now he's putting a pump onto this receiver. There's a bronze butterfly valve between the flange on the receiver and the pump. And that valve's used to isolate the pump, so if you want to repair it, you can stop the water flow and fix your pump without having to drain the tank.
Now, you specifically designed this for a specific project, so you just don't make a whole lot that have to be adapted to something else?
We have a product line that is made and stocked and sold. They're usually rather small condensate pumps, and hopefully we'll get a chance to see some of those.
Okay.
Primarily, they're what you would find in smaller buildings or out in a facility that pump back to the larger tanks.
Now, I'm curious about, I don't even know what to ask you what this is. It looks very intricate to me.
In addition to building the pumps, we're also a UL panel shop.
Explain, please.
We build electrical panels. Underwriters Laboratory is the testing agency and inspection agency that certifies most of the electrical gear that's used in the United States. So our company works under the UL guidelines to build the panels, and we actually assemble the panel. Each starter in this panel is connected specifically to a pump. So this starter would be to the pump on this end, and electrically you can turn the pump on and off through the magnetic starter.
Well, you must need a highly qualified workforce to be able to do this.
We have a very highly skilled workforce. We're very proud of our workforce. Most of our employees are technically oriented. They have to be able to read wiring diagrams and understand drawings to make our products. And we've got a good workforce here in Shippensburg.
How long have you been in Shippensburg?
Our company was started in 1985, and we've been.
Tell me the story about that, because I thought that was a very funny story. I looked you up on the website first.
Our company is sort of an aftermath of a company that had existed in Shippensburg for a lot of years. Back at the turn of the 20th century, the Segner brothers started a business in Shippensburg to make pumps, and they were making well pumps.
Oh, okay.
The hand crank type well pumps. So we evolved from the Segner startup into a company that was called Domestic Pump and Manufacturing. Domestic was part of Hoffman Specialty, and later that got sold to ITT.
This is the part of the story I love.
Well, ITT Corporation decided to move out of Shippensburg, and they left a lot of people out of work. I had previously left the company.
They left a lot of people out of work because nobody wanted to go to Illinois.
That's correct. They left over 100 people out of work. And a friend of mine called me up and said, Dwayne, we ought to go back into business. And after some conversations, we decided to go back into business and put our people back to work. It's been a good experience. We've got the workforce, we've got the technical know-how, and fortunately I knew most of the sales force that existed throughout the Americas, and we were back in business.
Now, how many employees do you have?
Collectively, we have about 100 employees in our group now.
Define what you mean collectively.
In addition to Shippensburg Pump Company, we're also into printing, publishing, and packaging, and mechanical contracting.
Okay.
So within our companies based in Shippensburg, we have close to 100 employees.
Yeah. Now, I don't know what to ask you to show me, so you show me what I should see here.
Well, let's take a little walking tour.
That sounds good.
And we'll just walk through the shop. What we do is we stock a lot of the components that we need to make our pumps. These are cast iron receivers.
And they have to be heavy. How much do they weigh?
You're looking at a couple 100 pounds with the smaller ones, and we make some that go up to close to 1,000 pounds.
That's why you have those lifts?
That's why we have the lifts.
I would think so. Otherwise, you'd have a lot of injuries.
Yeah. So these castings are also mostly made in Pennsylvania by foundries that are located within Pennsylvania.
But you don't make them?
No, we make all the patterns, and we subcontract the casting works to foundries in the area.
And these are
steam regulator valves that we purchase. These are the valves that are used to control the steam that comes in to a lot of the equipment we make. We make a line of deaerators, and most of the steam control valves are used on our deaerator product line.
Everything seems so large and heavy.
It is. It is.
Because they're very large pieces of equipment.
They are.
Now tell me what this is, and just excuse me because I don't know.
All right. This is an underground pump. By underground, we mean that this pump goes into a pit. The screen that you see at the bottom is actually where the water goes in at the bottom of a tank.
Okay.
This pump we actually have a patent on.
Do you really?
Yes. We have a patent on the bearing support system that's in the column, and it's a water lubricated bearing support system, and it allows us to drive the propeller system that brings the water up the column to the centrifugal pump at the top without having duplicate motors or expensive couplings to do it. It also eliminates having to have an outboard bearing at the bottom. So that's one of the advantages that we have in our product.
Is that screen-like, mesh-like device on the bottom keep all the dirt from being pulled in?
Yes. Typically, if you have a pit that you're pumping out of, people like to sweep dirt into it and do a lot of things. So the screen does keep the dirt out of the pump.
Okay. All right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And
These are impellers.
explain to me.
All right. This is the impeller for a centrifugal pump.
How heavy is that?
You can...
10 pounds? 5 pounds? No,
probably.
maybe less.
I was going to say 2 or 3.
Okay.
This is made out of brass. You can see things are a little dusty and dirty here.
But isn't brass very expensive these days?
Well, it is, but it also doesn't corrode.
Okay.
So we make the impeller out of brass because whenever the pump is setting, you can get barnacles to build up in the impeller area.
Oh, okay.
And with it being brass against a brass wear ring in the case, we don't have the starting torque problems off the motors.
Okay.
It's also easy to cast because if you can look in the center here, you see the vanes. When this spins, that's what picks up the water. And the water flows along the vane angle, and that's what produces the pressure.
Now, do you make these here or you buy these?
These are also made by a foundry in Marietta, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
We make the patterns and we have the foundries cast for us.
Okay.
So in addition to our own workforce, we have a lot of other Pennsylvania folks that are subcontractors for us that are helping to make our product line.
Sounds wonderful. Okay. Those are the same, only smaller. Now, what are they doing back there?
All right, back there, we're
Can I
actually...
walk back
sure,
there?
Sure, come on back. We take the impellers that I just showed you, which are the castings that have been roughly machined, and here we trim the diameter of the impeller to what we want for a specific job.
Okay.
The diameter of the impeller determines the pressure of the pump. So by varying the diameter, we can vary the pressure of the pump to whatever specifications we need for a specific job.
Is there any use for these? I don't know.
We sweep them up and recycle.
Do you really?
Yes.
Okay.
Brass is expensive.
I know.
So
that's why I thought that's surely not all going to waste.
We sweep them up and we recycle.
Okay. All right.
This is our test stand. What we do, we have a procedure that we go through for every package that we make, and we actually test it to make sure that it performs to the specifications that the customer's given to us or the consulting engineer's given to us for the pump performance. It's a computerized test station where we test pressure, flow in gallons per minute. We check the motors for amp draw and just make sure that everything's working before it leaves the shop.
How many of these do you make in a year, say? And how long does it take to make one of these?
The various products that we make 2,000 to 3,000 pump packages a year.
Really?
Yes.
Well, how long does it take to make one of these?
The smaller packages, and I'll talk in customer lead time.
Okay.
Primarily, the smaller packages that we make for stock, we ship within a couple days. Some of the larger products can be 18 to 20 week lead times, depending on what we have to buy and bring in to make the final package work. There's a lot of engineering goes into each particular package because there's a lot of customization that we allow to happen.
Well, who does the engineering?
We have consulting engineers that we work with that does the work in the field, and we also have our own engineering group here at the factory, which we'll get to see in a little bit.
Okay. All right. If I'm asking too many questions,
you keep asking questions.
Now we saw the insides of those.
Yeah, this is the panel shop, and these are the folks that actually are building our panels. Steve, who we have here leaning over the panel. Steve, turn around. Steve's the guy that designs most of the panels.
Okay.
He does all the layout work. And on this particular one, they're running a test on it right now, so they're trying to make sure all the circuitry works.
Well, how long has Steve been designing panels?
Approximately 10 years.
10 years?
Steve's been designing panels for about 10 years. Patrick's my son. Patrick's our field service person. He goes out in the field to actually make sure it works after it's installed.
That's important.
Yes.
Now, a lot of somehow didn't expect to see a lot of wood here.
Well, this is mostly used for crating.
Oh, all right. Okay.
We use that whenever we paint our products. We have to ship it, so we skid and crate our products so that we can put them on the common carriers to ship them wherever we're going.
Obviously, the paint shop.
That's the paint shop. Yep. This is stuff that's ready. If you come down here, you'll have to believe me, but this box is headed for Honolulu.
Is that right?
Yeah. This particular product is packaged up for export crating to go to Hawaii.
Now, how far and wide do you ship?
We ship throughout the Americas.
Okay.
We've done some work in the Pacific Rim. We've actually sold product in Europe.
Okay.
We even put product in the Barcelona Olympics.
Did you really? Well, what did you put in the Barcelona Olympics?
Well, it was a condensate pump because they were heating the Olympic Village with steam.
Okay.
And we were picked to be a supplier.
Who would have think Shippensburg?
Who would think Shippensburg? Yeah.
Okay.
Who would think?
Now, what would you like us to see next?
Let's go up through the weld shop.
Okay.
This side, primarily we bring flat plate steel in, and we roll it and form it to make the tanks. We'll just walk up through here.
All right, I'm following you.
This is our plasma arc area.
Now, you have to explain that because I don't know what that means.
Plasma arc, usually when we're doing these big weld seams, is done in this area with a plasma arc welder.
Oh, all right.
You can actually weld without having to wear a welding shield with this. It's all done under a flux.
No kidding.
And it's again a controlled environment. Does a remarkable job of welding this up. Some of the other things that we have to pay attention to are codes, and all of our welders are ASME code certified. Now, what's that mean? It means that we can make tanks that'll hold pressure, and they can be insured, and we're certain that whenever we're done, the integrity of our welds is good, and it'll hold up.
Is there high heat involved when you're welding?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
These are some smaller square receivers.
Repeat what you just said. Your back is turned.
These are smaller square receivers. We make these in half. When you put them together, you only have half the seams that you have to weld that way. It's bent so that they're two U-shapes. Yeah. In addition to pumps, we also make a seal coating product line. This is a seal coat machine that's used to coat driveways. If you have a driveway and you want it to look nice and pretty and black and seal up the cracks.
Yeah, that sounds like a plan.
Yeah, and these we make and we sell to various contractors throughout the Americas again. But primarily, we can make these whenever we have a little slack time in the shop.
Okay.
And it's something we can sell so that it works well for us at not having wasted hours. You know, we have a few hours we think we can build something. We build some seal coat machines.
Now, do you operate 8 hours a day, or
we're actually operating 2 shifts.
Really?
Yes, we've been very fortunate. Our company has been working real hard, and most of our employees have been on overtime since May.
How many companies that make the kind of things that you do are there in this country? Let's start in this country.
In this country, we have about 5 or 6 major competitors.
How about in this state?
In this state, I really don't think we have any major competitors.
Okay.
We have a lot of small operations that'll make 1 or 2 particular pieces for somebody, but not a lot of competitors in this state.
Okay. You have to tell me about that big round.
That's the head for a large tank, probably a deaerator. And right now they're fitting all the nozzles into the head before we put the head on the shell to actually make a tank out of it.
And then they weld around them when they put them in?
That was with the plasma arc welder that I showed you where we'll put the seam in.
Right.
But the heads are flanged and dished so it'll take pressure.
Okay.
Here's some of the nozzles that are welded up.
So if I understand this, and I may be making myself foolish, the flange allows you to adapt to somebody else's equipment too, or not?
Yes. Now, in this world that we work in, there's an ASME standard for building tanks. There's an ASA standard for flanges. So if you buy the right flanges or you make your flanges to the right dimensions, they fit anybody's.
Okay. And you make your own flanges?
We make some and we buy some.
Okay. Now I can see somebody's welding
yes,
in here.
and try not to look directly at the welders.
All right, I won't. I'll just kind of glance. Okay.
Yeah. But we're actually welding up a tank.
Okay. What in the world does that equipment do?
That is a press brake. That actually bends the metal for us.
Really?
Yeah. We'll take and put a flat plate in there, and we can walk over here.
Well, how much would a piece of equipment like this cost?
Oh, we're looking at $150,000.
Wow. And, okay, show me how this works.
What you do with this is you place your piece of metal in here, and this is a V-groove, so the metal will actually get sandwiched into there, and when it goes down, it puts a nice square 90-degree bend in it.
How about that?
Yeah.
How old is this piece of equipment?
This piece of equipment's probably about 15 years old.
But it gets a lot of use?
A lot of use.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a lot of use.
And do you actually have mechanics here that work for you that can fix all this equipment?
We try to keep it running, yes. If we get into a specific problem on a piece that's been manufactured by somebody, and this was the Niagara piece, they have factory service people who come in and work on it.
Okay. But it seems to me like there's a lot of things that could go awry.
There's a lot of things that could go wrong. This is a plasma arc burning table. We burn all the holes in the flat plate before we bend it.
This is probably I don't know. How do you burn the holes in it?
How do you burn the holes in it? Hey, Brian, you got something here we can actually burn a hole?
I'm kind of interested to know how you burn a hole in it. And how thick is that metal?
That's quarter inch. That's quarter inch stainless. That's 304 stainless. And
what does 304 mean?
304 is a metallurgy term for the grade of steel.
Okay.
We're going through a positioning cycle first.
Oh, all right, then I'll step out of the way. And have most of your employees been with you a long time, Dwayne?
Yes, we've got a lot of long-term employees. I would say the most of them are 10 years or more.
Okay. And do you get them from Votech schools or?
Votech schools. We get people that have gone to trade schools. We've also got folks that pick up some experience in the military.
Oh, I hadn't thought about that aspect.
Yeah. The water comes in so that whenever we cut this, and you'll be able to see it, everything stays cool on the bottom and the metal, and it just drops.
Oh, all right.
This is going to be like cutting bread.
Really?
Yeah, it'll go through this metal real quick.
The water's really running down here now.
Yeah, once we get the bed filled up, it'll do its thing here for us.
Oh, this bed is filling with water as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right, I got it. Okay.
It also keeps all the metal that we're cutting from flying all over the place.
Well, that's a good thought.
Yeah.
Okay, so now it's filled up.
It's filled up. Brian's gonna start the program. All right, here we go.
Okay. Can you see?
All right, we're gonna burn a hole through first. The hole will be in the plate.
And you can actually touch that without it being too hot.
Yeah.
Just looking at all the sparks, I would have thought that would have been so hot you wouldn't have been able to touch it.
Well, that's the reason we're using the plasma arc versus a normal torch.
Okay.
and the water bath.
Okay. And are you bending metal?
We're actually making the round shell for one of our tanks. We buy the flat plate, and Mike rolls it into the shell so that our shell actually fit the heads that we saw down there, that dished head.
Yeah.
And he forms the cylinder to make our tanks.
And do you have your own trucks, or do you use another trucking company?
We're using commercial carriers for most of that. We do have our own truck to do some things, but mostly we're doing commercial carriers.
Okay. And then that can be lifted off. I was looking for another crane to see what could pick it up.
We have bridge cranes in here. Things are a little heavier. We use the bridge cranes. We have 2 5-ton bridge cranes in this shop.
Okay. And then is this the door where the trucks pick up or not?
Some of the larger units go out here. We get a lot of deliveries here.
Okay.
We have a couple of loading docks at the other end of the building where we ship most of the stuff out.
It seems to me that it's kind of laborious, so I don't... Tell me again how many you do a year?
2,000 to 3,000.
I just think that's a lot.
Yeah, we do a lot. Now, you got to remember, we've got the small packages as well as the large ones.
Well, that's true.
We do normally 2,000 to 3,000 units a year.
I'm very impressed.
Yeah. We have a specialty business that serves a select market.
But you certainly found a niche, didn't you?
Well, we like to think of that.
I think
but we like to think that we're a big piece of the niche.
Oh, I would think so, too.
Yeah.
Well, that's all the time we have for this month's program. I have learned so much. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're quite welcome.
And please join us again next month for another edition of the Vance Report.